It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Early on the top, right hand from my boy, double jab.
Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Hello and welcome to a Thursday Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination and consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together live for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A Thursday DRS that officially kicks off week number 1 of the NFL preseason. A doubleheader of football on this Thursday. That's 2 NFL preseason games. It's the Giants and the Lions at MetLife. The Patriots play host to the Carolina Panthers up in Foxborough. We will get you set for preseason football. We will go all around training camp in the National Football League. A full Wednesday in Major League Baseball. In the end to one marquee matchup out in Los Angeles between the two top teams in the National League. And, of course, another day at the Olympiad. More historic and epic comebacks on the track for the United States. And quarterfinal Wednesday in women's basketball leads us into semifinal Thursday in men's basketball. The United States taking on Nikola Jokic and Serbia for a spot in the gold medal match.
Yeah, we got some options, and that's the key word here. You got NFL action, you got the Olympics, you got Major League Baseball, and away we go into the weekend with that full slate of NFL preseason games. Looking forward to it here. 3 hours to get ready, and also we could talk a little Schwarbomb action a little bit later in the show as well.
How about not 1, not 2, but 3 Schwarbombs for Kyle Schwarber last night, matching a career best 7 RBIs to lead Philadelphia to a rubber match and series victory over the Dodgers. But we start with some college football news that perhaps impacts the National Football League as well. The NCAA condemning Jim Harbaugh for unethical conduct, not in the sign-stealing operation, of course, spearheaded by Connor Stallions, but this unrelated COVID dead period recruiting violations. The NCAA absolutely lambasting Harbaugh's name as a repeat offender. Unethical conduct, multiple recruiting violations, failure to hold the reins to his organization, imposing a 4-year show cause order on Jim Harbaugh, so much so, DRS, that if he were returned to college football by the year 2028, he would have to be suspended for a full season of college football action. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess that's really going to show Jim Harbaugh got a massive contract to be a professional head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. Is that's going to make or follow him around in any way, shape, or form? I just want to see what the NCAA is going to do to Michigan as a whole, as a program. Because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that lack of institutional control and you should really level up the penalties? Nothing's going to happen here, but here's the key ingredient. Michigan fans are all you care about. They love it. You cheated to win a title. It doesn't matter. You got one. Houston Astros have done it. The Patriots have done it. We have shown ourselves to say, just win the championship at all costs. We'll love you for life, and Michigan will always love you for life. A Michigan man is a cheating man. They don't care.
As Donnie Rightside has often said, you cheat to win. So what if the NCAA disciplines Jim Harbaugh? I don't think he returns to college football ever. No. I don't think he returns to college football by 2028 at bare minimum. That's the 4-year show cause order that would still be in effect. And so what the discipline now for a guy making $16 million per year as the head coach of the Chargers in the National Football League, and a guy that led his alma mater back atop college football, a national championship last season. Now, as for the notice of allegation that soon should be coming down to the Michigan football program as it pertains to the sign-stealing scandal and operation, it is clear that the NCAA deems Michigan as a football program a repeat offender who does not operate within NCAA guidelines. What that will mean for the Maize and Blue, that remains to be seen. Olympic action yesterday in Paris. Quarterfinal Wednesday in the women's basketball tournament. And the Americans have now won 59 consecutive games in Olympic action dating back to 1992. Team USA on to the semifinal and medal round with an 88-74 victory over Nigeria. But as we said, the Nigerians, a pesky side, the first ever African nation in men's or women's basketball to reach the quarterfinal round in the Olympic tournament. Keep the game closer than expected. Nigeria covers as a 26.5-point underdog.
Yeah, they did the exact opposite of what we saw from Team USA, the men's side of it, easily handling their business against Brazil. But all that matters is surviving and advancing, winning by double digits and moving forward. Like, beggars can't be choosers for myself. And I like to say that because I love Olympic basketball. And yes, it is interesting to watch our teams play, but sometimes you do want to just sit back and say, can we get a little bit of a struggle out here in these streets to sort of add some advantage? Because quite frankly, I haven't watched all that much, maybe a minute or two of the women's side here, but that just shows how dominant they are. I'm waiting for an absolute, hey, Donnie, check social media. The women are down 6 points in the third quarter. Maybe I'm waiting for that at this point, but it should be a walk away for Team USA. No struggles yesterday.
It was close throughout the opening half. Team USA started to pull in front in the third quarter and got tighter once again in the fourth. Asia Wilson, Captain America, 20 points and 11 boards. 3 straight days of wild comeback finishes for the United States on the track. Quincy Hall yesterday in the 400-meter men's final. As they hit the home stretch, the final 100 meters, he was in fourth place, DRS. It looked like he was gassed and might pull up. Somehow, some way, he powers through to a gold medal for the Americans in the 400-meter sprint.
I mean, sensation also. We knocked in the men's 100-meter sprint. How horrible that call was. That call yesterday was absolutely spot on, fantastic, where you could just buy in and say, let me watch this clip over and over again. An unbelievable athletic performance, an unbelievable call. That's the Olympics right there yesterday. I love it.
Plenty more from around the Olympics. Kenneth Rooks, though, yesterday, a silver medal in the 3,000-meter steeplechase in the men's final out of nowhere. Noah Lyles into the final of the 200-meter sprint. He's a minus 330 favorite to win gold in the 200-meter. That would be the elusive double at the Olympic Games. Rubber match yesterday in Los Angeles between the Dodgers and the Phillies, the two top teams in the National League. And how about 3 Schwarbombs off the bat of Kyle Schwarber? 3 home runs yesterday, 7 RBIs as the Phillies take the rubber match and the set at the Ravine, 9-4 in the finale yesterday.
We told you yesterday, a couple suspect pitchers out there on the West Coast late night. Take the number to the over, 9.5. We should get double-digit runs. We got that. And basically, Kyle Schwarber, the MVP last night. 4-1 game. Dodgers had this game wrapped up before you could blink your eye. Schwarbombs happened, and away go the Phillies with a dub.
Okay, 3 home runs yesterday, 7 RBIs in the finale. Also hit a home run in game number 2 for a couple of RBIs. 5 home runs already for Kyle Schwarber here in the month of August. The Arizona Diamondbacks, though, not going to make it easy on the Dodgers down the final month and a half of this Major League Baseball regular season. Arizona in a doubleheader yesterday in Cleveland after a postponement on Tuesday night. The D-backs take both, sweep the doubleheader over the Guardians. Arizona now 12 victories in its last 14 games.
How about this? Phillies, Diamondbacks, next series on deck. The Dodgers got to be loving that because they can't lose either way as long as they can handle their own business. But the Diamondbacks, this is the team we've been saying, waiting for them to show up on that World Series run last year. Looks like they showed up.
The Padres stay hot as well. They've won 4 straight games. Both San Diego and Arizona now only 3 games back of the Dodgers atop the National League West. Hey, listen, training camp practices can cause some feathers to be ruffled. DK Metcalf, not in a joint practice yesterday, but against his own team, reportedly took off his helmet and swung it around.
I mean, come on, man. We're playing gladiator out here. But you can do that in practice because apparently you can do whatever you want as long as it's not in a game and everything's A-okay. So get your swings in. Get them in the preseason here in these practices.
We've got the Olympics. We've got the opening day of the NFL preseason. So why in the world are we telling you that Rafael Nadal is not playing in the U.S. Open? But there it is. More around MLB next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
An all-important rubber match yesterday at Chavez Ravine in downtown Los Angeles between the Dodgers and the Phillies. L.A. booked as a -142 home money line favorite, a pregame total of 9 for the third and final set between the Dodgers and the Phils. Who would win Game 3? Who would win this series? Ever important even in the regular season. Kyle Schwarber stepped up in a large way. 3 Schwarbombs last night. That's 3 home runs off the bat of Kyle Schwarber, matching a career-best 7 RBIs in a single game. Responsible for 7 of the 9 runs that Philadelphia scored in a 9-4 victory to take the rubber match and this marquee midweek set in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Schwarber up to 260 at the plate, which doesn't sound like much, but Kyle Schwarber's typically that guy. Yeah, I'll hit you 40 home runs, but I'll hit 212 on the season. That's what's been most important. And also, stepping up in the biggest of games. Where do you need this guy? Leading off, like, what a jolt in the arm when you can line up with the first batter of the game and be up 1-0, it seems like, every other night. Yeah. Now, granted, being facetious there, it doesn't happen all that much, but that's that lightning strike that really sets the tone, and you saw that yesterday. But even with setting the tone, the Phillies go 1-0. They're down 2-1 at the end of the first inning. They're down 4-1 after the second. It's like, oh, well, here we go. Another series victory for the Dodgers. The Phillies are slipping. And then you have the 2 runs in the fifth and the 5-run sixth inning, which did get some help from a questionable call, which was on a bunt that turned into an interference play, which caught a couple Phillies guys safe. 2 outs, 3-run bomb for Kyle Schwarber. And away the Phillies went with a victory. They'll take it in any way, shape, or form. But for your leadoff batter to hit 3 home runs and have 7 RBI on the night, that's pretty impressive. The Phillies look like they're back in form on offense, and as we talked about, it was really a coin flip heading into that game, and most were saying just take the Philadelphia Phillies on that end of it, and it looked like if you were a Dodgers backer early, you were going to win this one, because Phillips, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, then you flipped it over to the Dodgers side. Stone was 4 2/3 innings, 6 hits and 3 earned runs. We thought the game would go over, and it did. Thank you, Kyle Schwarber.
And Tyler Phillips did record the victory yesterday. He's at least 4-1 this year. For Kyle Schwarber, he becomes the first player in Phillies organization to hit 3 home runs from the leadoff spot since 1884. Donnie, were they the Athletics back then? I don't even know. Kyle Schwarber, so sensational and historic yesterday. Of course, when you hit 3 home runs in the same game, that is going to add up to your home run tally in a big way. But Schwarber already in 6 games in August has 5 long balls, matching the amount of home runs 5 he had in the entirety of the month of July. Kyle Schwarber was huge in this series. 4 home runs in the set in total against LA. Also a home run and 2 RBIs in the Game 2 victory that allowed the rubber match to be had for the Phils. And Donnie, it was a huge series victory. Not just extending the lead overall over the Dodgers for that number 1 overall seed in the National League. It also snapped a 6-series losing skid for Philadelphia that dated back to the end of their sweep over the Dodgers at the bank in the final week before the All-Star break. So Philadelphia will leave L.A., head to Arizona for a huge weekend set against the Diamondbacks, but do so with a 2.5-game advantage for the best record and the number 1 overall spot in the National League. 68-46 for the Phillies, 66-49 for the Dodgers. The Phils were minus 130 to take down the number 1 seed in the National League entering yesterday's game. That number even increasing more in favor of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes, because also the Philadelphia Phillies looking to get back Taijuan Walker into that rotation and Ranger Suarez, which again takes out those other guys that are just in there for spot starts that you sometimes can't count on all that well. And also, what are you looking for the rest of this West Coast swing? The Phillies just to possibly get a split out of this big 4-game set coming up against the Arizona Diamondbacks before they head back home. So that's something to watch. And also from a Dodgers perspective, the Philadelphia Phillies swept them in Philadelphia. The Phillies took 2 or 3 games from the Dodgers in L.A. That's a pretty good sign if they meet up in the playoffs saying, hey, you know what? We have your number. But from a Dodgers perspective, you do love to see this. The Phillies taking on the Diamondbacks here, because if one team sweeps, all right, that other team has lost 4 games. If they split, well, at least you handle your business. One team took 2 losses. The other team took 2 losses. You like to see that. So from a series that you lost, it's the perfect scenario for the Dodgers to still gain some momentum because the Phillies are taking on the Diamondbacks. It works out in their favor a little bit.
And it was important, right? We talked about this yesterday with Craig Mish. It's a regular season series. How much significance does it have over any individual game in 162 of them in the regular season? You would say the marquee matchup adds the magnitude to it. 2.5-game lead now for Philadelphia for that top spot. Updated odds minus 180 to be that first overall seed in the National League postseason bracket. If the Phils and the Dodgers were to meet up once again in October, as we have predicted and the odds have favored all year long, the Phils, as of this moment, would have home field advantage, and the Phils would have confidence taking 5 of 6 against the Dodgers so far in the regular season. Now we go to Atlanta. Chris Sale on the bump yesterday for the Braves against the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was the Brewers getting the better of the Braves. A high-scoring affair, all things considered. 8-5 the victory for the Brew Crew. 16 hits for Milwaukee. 10 hits out of the Braves, but Milwaukee takes the victory 8-5 over Atlanta.
I mean, this game could have been so much worse, too. You take a look at the Braves. They get their 5 runs, and you love to see it, but they're only 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position, so not a lot of pressure being put on the pitching staff for the Milwaukee Brewers. Take a look at the Brewers yesterday, Ben. Left 14 runners on base, but were 6 of 22. Yeah. So they actually had 22 at-bats with runners in scoring position, which is incredible. They're lucky they didn't hang 15 to 16 runs on the Atlanta Braves, but it just feels like now things are starting to slip away from the Braves. So when the Phillies were playing bad baseball, they were closing that gap here. Now with this losing streak coincided with the Philadelphia Phillies starting to wake up. Now the Phillies getting that breathing room. 7.5 game lead over the Braves, 8 over the New York Mets. A good win for the Brewers. Won't take anything away from it, but it just seems like the Braves are floundering at this point right now.
The Braves have lost 4 straight, not only in the National League East, where they have won 6 divisional crowns and looking well up at Philadelphia at this point. Only a half-game lead for Atlanta for the 3rd and final National League wildcard spot over their divisional mate, the New York Mets. With how good Arizona and San Diego have been playing, it's the Padres and the D-backs in the 2 top spots. That's where the Braves have really been all year long. Chris Sale only 4 2/3 yesterday. Did have 10 Ks, only allowing 2 earned runs, but it was after that. Blake Perkins and Joey Ortiz, 3 RBIs, 2 ribbies, respectively, to pace that Milwaukee offense. More around Major League Baseball comes your way next.
When it comes to betting on sports, injuries matter, and Sports Injury Central has you covered all year long with expert injury analysis and injury-based picks for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Our former pro sports doctors have unmatched experience to analyze every injury so you know the impact of the player, team, and their upcoming matchup. Whether it's articles, podcasts, player insights, or our patented injury scores, Sports Injury Central will help you keep up with your fantasy team and make more informed wagers. So make sure you follow Sports Injury Central and gain an edge at SixScore.com.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest cast target group in the National Football League, 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver, 7 bona fide pass targets. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Corn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all 4 Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's like it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on
A couple of doubleheaders making our Wednesday full slate of Major League Baseball even that much fuller. We start in the Bronx between the Yankees and the Angels. A 2-game doubleheader for the Pinstripes and the Halos. The Yankees take game 1, 5-2. They were greater than a $3 favorite with Luis Gil on the bump. Don't call him you know what. Pretty good yesterday. 5 innings of shutout work, only allowing 2 hits. Did walk 5 batters, but also striking out 6. So the Yankees win game 1, 5-2. But as Mark Zinno told you yesterday, and we made the point, Will Warren got the start for the Yanks in game 2. They were a minus 245 home money line favorite. Hard to sweep a doubleheader regardless of the opposing pitcher. And the Halos win game 2, 8-2. with a ton of plus money to boot.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Now, granted, there were two doubleheaders, and they're both, one was a sweep, which was really nice for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But the focal point that we talked about for the Yankees was doubleheaders really hurt you when you're going against a team that you should pummel on a day-to-day basis. You saw game number one, you had a legitimate starting pitcher in the major leagues on the mound for Luis Gil. You won that easily. That's what you're supposed to do against the Angels. But game number two, you throw that spot starter in there, and everything is up for grabs. And as Ben pointed out, the Yankees were still a heavy favorite and should have swept that series yesterday alone. But the fact of the matter is we know the law of averages typically says, one team wins one game, the other wins the other. You might have to use a closer here. You don't have another starter in that second game because let's just say if you had these games not back-to-back in a doubleheader and on a day-to-day basis, the Yankees probably would have won both of those games going away because you wouldn't have had that spot starter that you had to burn in that instance. You had another major league pitcher on that. Even if it was like a Nestor Cortez, you probably walk away with the victory. That was a tough scene because the Yankees, quite frankly, got that first game win. Like, okay, let's just see what happens in game number two. But it wasn't as if it was a coin flip, Ben. Like, hey, minus 110, plus 110, this game's going to be really good. You should have blown them out twice. But again, the law of averages on a day where you play a doubleheader, you're probably going to split, and that hurt the Yankees yesterday.
Will Warren made his first career MLB start last week against Philadelphia, filling in for a scratched Garrett Cole, who was scratched due to body fatigue. The Yankees got that win over the Phils in extra innings, but Warren still gave up 4 earned. Yesterday, 8 earned runs allowed after the start for the Yankees. The other doubleheader in Cleveland, the American League's best team in the Guardians, hosting the Diamondbacks 4-2. Arizona takes both. Both were a virtual pick'em on the money line, and the D-backs stay red hot. They win game 1, 7-3, game 2, 5-3. 12 victories in the last 14 contests for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that lineup looks better and better every day. And how about sometimes just getting rejuvenated? Josh Bell comes over, and he is mashing the baseball once again. Talked about it yesterday, the way it's set up. The first 4 batters in that lineup were set to do some damage. In game number 1, they certainly did that. That is a fun lineup to bet any which way you want, whether it's RBI props, home run props, total basis here. The Arizona Diamondbacks have woken up this season, and they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, they certainly are. The reigning National League pennant winners looking really good. Geraldo Perdomo hitting his first home run of the year in game 1. It was a 2-run shot. He, Corbin Carroll, and Ketel Marte, all 2-run homers yesterday. So, as the results state, the O's and the Yanks now tied atop the American League East. Both a half game in front of the Guardians after they have now lost 5 in a row, 67-47 for Cleveland, 68-47 for both New York and Baltimore. Is a new streak beginning in a bad way for the White Sox? Oakland wins the rubber match yesterday at home, 3-2 over Chicago. Of course, the night after the White Sox snapped that historic 21-game losing skid. The White Sox actually had a lead entering the 7th inning, courtesy of an Andrew Benintendi early 2-run shot. Oakland scored 3 runs in the 7th to take the game and the series.
Back to reality, back to life there for the Chicago White Sox, taking that loss. And it looked like, hey, we might have a streak going here, 2-0. We're getting great pitching here. We're playing the Oakland Athletics, who technically aren't a great baseball team, but they end up dropping that game overall, which was as expected. You're not supposed to go on 2-game winning streaks if you're losing 20-plus games, but yet alone, the White Sox were looking forward to doing that yesterday. And look, I don't know what you want out of this, but where they go up from here for the White Sox, I don't know. Win 1 or 2 games a week, maybe the rest of the way. That could be fun.
Back to 61 games below 500. Chicago has failed to win multiple games in a row since late June. That was a month and a half ago. Another rubber match in Arlington between the in-state foes, the Astros and the Rangers. Houston wins it 6-4 as a road money line favorite at minus 130. Total of 8.5 does go over. Second start for Yusei Kikuchi in an Astros uniform. 5 1/3. 2 earned runs given up, 8 strikeouts. The Stros have won both of Kikuchi's starts as a member of this Houston organization. And Kikuchi has had 19 strikeouts in those 2 starts. A good trade deadline acquisition to that starting staff for Houston. A little bit more around MLB and then Olympic coverage comes your way next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The battle for the top spot in the American League West continues. An in-state and interdivision rivalry yesterday came to a close in Arlington between the Astros and the Rangers. Houston wins the rubber match 6-4. They take the final 2 games of the set to win the series against Texas. And because Seattle, as a home favorite yesterday against Detroit, got out-dueled by Tarek Skubal on the other side, the Tigers winning 6-2 over the Mariners. Now Houston has a lead in the American League West once again. 6-2 the final. Detroit gets a victory. They've won both of the first 2 games in this set against the M's, who now have dropped 3 straight games. They had won 6 of their last 8 prior to the series finale against Philadelphia over the weekend, and these first 2 games against Detroit. Skubal yesterday, a strong start, 7 innings of work, only 2 earned runs allowed. Cal Raleigh hit a 2-run home run against Skubal, and then nearly hit what would have been the go-ahead 2-run shot in the 8th. Parker Meadows, the center fielder for Detroit, climbs the wall and robs it to keep the game in favor of the Tigers and give Detroit an ultimate victory.
This is one of those crazy low numbers, 6.5 on the board, and we're saying, like, you know what, why don't you just go over that? But I actually thought yesterday, I was saying to myself, this should be a 3-2 game, and maybe you should take the under in that ballpark with 2 good pitchers on the mound. Well, it was 3-2 entering the top of the 9th inning before 3 runs were plated by the Detroit Tigers to get that 6-2 victory. But Skubal's on the mound. You expect victories. I don't care who's on the opposite side. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 Ks. Right now, that is your Cy Young Award winner from the American League, and he provided that. Look, I don't know if the Detroit Tigers are going to make the playoffs at this point, but I'm glad they didn't trade Tarek Skubal because this guy's going to be very good for at least the next 4 to 5 years in that Detroit uniform. But taking a look here at the Mariners, they did try at the deadline. Now, granted, you aren't going to get a Shohei Ohtani to sort of, rebound that offensive lineup. A Rosarania came over, gave you 2 hits yesterday. You had Justin Turner in the lineup, gave you another hit, but nobody else. It just seems like a dead lineup on a night-to-night basis, which provided only 2 runs yesterday. And I understand that you do get a home run robbed, but it's just not good enough. The one thing we've always said about the Mariners, they just can't hit. And yesterday, 5 total hits, and it's true.
Yeah, it is the case. Houston now a half-game advantage for that top spot in the American League West. Skubal, 3 hits, 2 earned runs in 7 innings of work, 9 strikeouts, remains close to a $2.50 favorite to win the American League Cy Young Award. What else can you say about the kid, Bobby Witt Jr.? The $281 million man in KC has been worth every single penny. Yesterday, 3 for 4 at the dish, a double, 2 home runs in 4 RBIs to lead the Royals to a victory in the series finale against the Red Sox, 8-4. KC avoids the sweep, extends their lead over Boston to a 1.5 for that decisive third and final American League wildcard spot.
Yeah, and you're taking a look at this, too, and it's just sometimes you say it's a shame, like Bobby Witt Jr. plays in Kansas City. Like, what would he be if he was in Los Angeles playing for the Dodgers or the Yankees in New York City? The kid is absolutely stellar every single night, and it's almost amazing. Like, say, oh, he only went 2 for 5 one night. Well, again, last night, 3 for 4, 4 RBI, 2 more home runs. The kid's hitting 349 on the season, 64 and 52 now for the Royals. We need them in the playoffs because we want to watch great players like Bobby Witt Jr., and the rest of that lineup has been stepping up as well. We didn't have a lot of expectations coming into the season for Kansas City, let's just say, to make the playoffs. But I love what they've done so far. They got solid pitching. And when you pay a guy $200 million and he exceeds expectations, like his agent should go back to renegotiate that contract and get him an extra maybe $100 million more. I mean, Kansas City probably, you know what? That probably makes a lot of sense here. He has been phenomenal and so much fun to watch. Hitting for average and power, that's a rarity sometimes today in this sport.
22 home runs this year. That batting average is the best in the bigs at 347. 84 RBIs now. Tied for 4th best in MLB alongside who? Another Kansas City Royal and our guy, Vinny Pasquantino, Vinny P, the Pasquatch, who hit a 2-run home run that scored Bobby Witt Jr. in that big 4th inning for KC last night at home. So the Royals avoid a sweep against the Red Sox. Now we go to Olympic headlines from a wild Wednesday in Paris, as always. First quarterfinal action in the women's basketball tournament. The United States with a 58-game win streak and is a 26.5-point favorite against Nigeria. Take care of business, 88-74. The Nigerians, a pesky and historic side for an African nation, do cover the number in a pretty large way, but the U.S. extends its win streak in Olympic basketball to 59 straight games. That dates all the way back to 1992 in the Summer Games in Barcelona.
That's pretty incredible as that run goes on. You see the first 3 quarters. Team USA 26-17 quarter number 1, 26-16 quarter number 2, 24-15 quarter number 3, then just took their foot off the gas pedal in quarter number 4, losing that one 26-12. Survive and advance. Team USA did that, and you're right. Haven't had a loss in Olympic play since 1992. That is absolutely incredible, but yet not unexpected, because we expected this dominance out of Team USA, and they're proving us right.
More than a $3,500 favorite to win their 8th consecutive gold medal. So Team USA on semifinal Friday will be the first game of the day, a 17.5-point favorite against Australia. The total at 162.5. Asia Wilson, Captain America, continues to deliver 20 points, 11 boards. I saw a profit boost on FanDuel, 20+ 10+ for Asia Wilson, points and rebounds at plus 130. Should have just bet that there. 4 players in double figures for the United States. Jackie Young, 15 points. Breanna Stewart, 13 points, only 5 boards, and Brittany Griner, 11 points as well. Again, the Americans a hefty favorite to win their 8th consecutive gold medal, 17.5-point favorite tomorrow afternoon in the semifinal matchup against the Australians. Now we go to the track. What a wild couple of days it has been over in the Paris Games in track and field. And for the Americans, some historic comebacks. Noah Lyles in the closest ever finish in the 100-meter sprint on Sunday afternoon. Cole Hawker comes out of nowhere to win the mile 2 days ago. And how about Quincy Hall yesterday? In the event I would never want to run because it seems like it is the hardest thing on planet Earth, the 400-meter sprint and the final. Quincy Hall, as he turned down the home stretch for the final 100 meters, was in 4th place. Looked as though he was going to pull up with a hammy injury somehow, some way. Turns on the gas to come all the way back and win the gold medal for the United States in the men's 400 meter.
You know, it's funny. Like if you've ever watched like a kid, like a 3-year-old, like run like, down a little runway or run on the front lawn, they're wobbling. That's what all of these guys, they're so spent. That final, like 5 to 10 meters, they're just hands flailing, legs all over the place. Give me that one last kick. And you got that yesterday. That's what we love. Like, of course we love dominance where it's like Usain Bolt, like, hey, just run away with it. We want to watch historic stuff each and every time. But I love the fact where a guy looks like he's not going to medal and winds up with the gold medal within a blink of an eye. Fantastic stuff all the way through. And we talked about it to open the show. An unbelievable call that if you haven't saw this yet, go Google that. Go hit it up on social media. You will watch this clip 5 times. Like, number one, how did it happen? And number two, what a great call by a professional there on the mic.
I jumped off my couch. Lee Diffie, who was the focus of a bad call at the 100-meter. I did. Literally jumped off my couch screaming, what? What? Because I tried to bet Quincy Hall, but the market closed on me right before I could play it down. Kenneth Rooks, by the way, an NCAA champion out of BYU, comes out of nowhere in the 300-meter final in the steeplechase to win a silver medal for the Americans. I believe only their 3rd silver medal in the steeplechase in the more than century-long history of this event at the Olympic Games. Noah Lyles, by the way, on the track, clinches his spot in the final of the 200-meter, looking for the double. The 100-meter champion, the fastest man on planet Earth, and, of course, the 200-meter as well, a -330 favorite to get that done. DRS, did you see the end of the water polo quarterfinal match against, I believe it was Australia for the United States? Penalty shootout? The goalkeeper for the Americans?
I saw somebody, I can't remember who tweeted it out. It was like a still shot of a guy getting hit in the face. Help me out with who sent that.
Yeah. We'll talk about it up next with the medal count here on the early line.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit more Olympic coverage over in Paris, live right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid before we get you set for a big day in the world of football around the National Football League. Preseason week number 1 opens up tonight with a doubleheader of action. But DRS, we just talked about it before the break. I hope you were able to find the footage. The United States yesterday in men's water polo in quarterfinal action against the Australians, down late in the final minute, just over half a minute left. They score to force extra time and a penalty shootout. And in the penalty shootout, Adrian Weinberg, the goalkeeper for the United States, makes multiple saves, including the game-winning save with his face. He jumped forward and the ball rockets off his dome, using his noggin to send the Americans to a semifinal, one victory away from guaranteeing a medal at the Olympic Games.
That's pretty impressive at that point, too, because I guess when you're the goalie, again, you can't touch the bottom. So the goalie just treads water the entire game.
Oh.
I mean, that's it. Like, for me, Ben, if I'm the goalie in water polo, like, don't you, like, hang on, like, the goal? Like, for just to, like, take a break?
Sure.
Can you do that? Is that even possible out? Because, I mean, I can't imagine you have to step up and just wave your hands the entire time trying to throw everybody off at that point. So shout out the polo team. I don't know how you play that sport, but shout out the people that do. My goodness.
I mean, listen, Adrian Weinberg for the United States also scored a goal, throwing it across the length of the pool earlier in group play action. The guy is a stud. I would think you would have to hang a little bit off the goal. You would think at least off the crossbar or something. But Olympic water polo is, I don't know. I bet you would hope so. I don't know. Man. Listen, water polo was pretty big in my neck of the woods. Wine country, of course, in California. I never played, though, because treading water for that amount of time with all the extracurriculars that happen under the water's surface was not for me. A lot of punching, a lot of grabbing of you-know-what down there beneath the water. Now we go to the medal count over at the Olympic Games in Paris again. Whichever way you slice it, the Americans in front. The most golds, the most silvers, the most bronze medals, and the most medals overall, 94. Again, the Americans and Team USA were a minus 2,000 favorite to lead the total overall Olympic medal count. They're running away with it, up by nearly 30 entering today over China.
By the way, was there a number, like what was the number for like most medals? Was there an over and under for Team USA? Because I know they do it in the gold, and I don't remember what that was. Because I remember us talking over like the first couple of days. We didn't have a lot of gold medals. Like, I wonder if we were tracking enough to like get that gold medal number or actually the over under medals. But I got to, like, if I'm looking at it right now without knowing the initial numbers, it looks like we have to be exceeding expectations. No, because we're expected to win, but by this margin right now, specifically with track and field usually being very good to Team USA, I think we got to be over pace at this point when I don't think we're even near the pace through the first like 3 to 4 days.
It's why we call on our producer extraordinaire, Joe Frizo. 40.5 golds was the over-under. 119 or one. Oh, I just messed it up. 119.5 for the total medals at the Olympic Games. I would say with a couple of more days of track and field, wrestling, and basketball, the United States is on track. What a performance over in Paris. France has been sensational with that host nation boost as well. All right, now some football coverage. It was our lead story in 7 in 7. The NCAA handing out a discipline, a 4-year show cause order to Jim Harbaugh for unethical conduct based on multiple recruiting violations during a COVID-dead period and not cooperating with investigators in misleading the investigation for the NCAA. You might be thinking to yourself, wait, Jim Harbaugh doesn't coach at Michigan anymore. What does it matter if the governing body of collegiate athletics disciplines him? And you would be correct. A 4-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh doesn't really matter for the guy making $16 million per year as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers in the National Football League.
I'll tell you one thing, though. Like, the NCAA really hasn't, meshed well over the past 20 years with some of the outcomes that they come up with. Because you take a look at, Reggie Bush, who was obviously cheating, but they take away his Heisman after he left and then take away the wins and say, technically, you don't win any national championships. But he was a singular player on that team. If your coach is doing damage, why is he the only one getting the penalty? Like, I could see with USC, they go, hey, Reggie, you know what? we're going to take away just your individual accolades and the Heisman, but we're going to leave all the wins on the field for USC and also the national championships. Why is that not done here? Same thing when you take a look at Louisville. Like, they won a national championship under Pitino. Pitino did wrong, recruiting violations. They stripped that team of wins and also the national championship. So theoretically, why is Michigan not being stripped of a national championship and wins then? Am I missing something here?
I don't know. We don't know what the notice of allegation is going to be for the sign-stealing operation. Oftentimes, recruiting violations, even with the unethical conduct that Jim Harbaugh has presented to the NCAA as a governing body, do not result in the vacation of wins in a national title, but I'm not entirely sure. Again, this is not related in essence to the sign-stealing operation and the potential notice of allegation that we expect to come down in the next few days to the Michigan football program. But it is clear the NCAA looks at Michigan as a bad actor in terms of how they deal with NCAA violations and regulations as a football program. If Jim Harbaugh were to return to college football by 2028, we would be shocked. But if he does, he would be suspended for a full season for whatever program hires him. Again, he signed a 5-year, $16 million per year average deal with the Chargers to become the head coach in Los Angeles. This is outside of the sign-stealing operation. Elsewhere, DRS at Seattle Seahawks practice yesterday. An ugly scene, multiple fights breaking out, including DK Metcalf, star wide receiver for the Hawks, taking off his helmet and swinging it at his teammate, cornerback Trey Brown. We've seen joint practice fights throughout this week. You don't really want it to be that visceral and that internal in your own organization.
Yeah, take care of yourselves out there. That's the name of this. Look, you're going to come to fights and have blows, but you don't want to take that. First of all, what are you taking the helmet off for? Keep the helmet off. That's your best protection. And he's a giant wide receiver. I'm sure he can swing around a couple DBs at a chance. But also, we are talking about these fights. Love to see the Malik Neighbors one, like, I'm going to hit you in the head, and then get the brakes beat off you 3 seconds later. That's a tough look for us wide receivers, man. Can't be doing that. Stop.
Hour 2 next. Oh.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to I'm just kidding. It's the final segment of our opening hour live right here on the early line. I was a little bit too hasty to say it was hour 2. We still have 5 more minutes of our opening hour. Anything you would like to add, Donnie, right side?
You know, sometimes, though, like the show has been flowing really well, and sometimes you don't like to look at the clock. You just let the topics flow. I feel now that you felt like it was hour number 2 already, that we might have the longest next 2 hours that we've ever had on this channel here. So I think you might have hit the Kai box, because everybody's been out there, right? You're at work, you're in the cubicle, you're out on the street, like, hey, I wonder what time it is. Or maybe you're like, being a construction worker and just fall asleep there. You're waiting to eat your sandwiches by noon. It turns out it's only 10 a.m. I mean, it happens all the time out there in the streets. Don't watch the clock. Have some fun. Let's get after it.
Yeah, tough stuff for us. But I think with the football conversation we are set to have here, at least to end out the opening hour and extend it into the start of hour 2, it should fly by, because football is fun and time flies when you are having exactly that.
Quote.
2 games tonight. That was good, huh? 2 games tonight to officially kick off week number 1 in full of the National Football League preseason. The Giants and the Lions, we'll talk about that to start hour number 2. The Patriots and the Panthers tonight at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Both games scheduled to kick at around 7 p.m. Eastern time, so it's not like one is the nightcap and one starts earlier, pretty much kicking off simultaneously. But it begins new eras for both franchises. Gerard Mayo takes the reins in Foxborough. Dave Canales, the new head man in Charlotte for the Carolina Panthers. Of course, we learned earlier this week that Bryce Young would not play in this preseason opener for Carolina against New England. It moved the line drastically. It was a 4.5-point spread in favor of the Pats then. It's now up to nearly a touchdown in favor of the Patriots, a 6.5-point number in favor of New England. The over-under stands at 33.5. Don't believe we'll see the veteran Jacoby Brissett tonight for New England, but maybe we will. I would expect to see a lot of rookie quarterback focus on Drake May and the guy they took on day 3 out of Tennessee with a rocket arm, Joe Milton, as well.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch it play out. And also, sometimes when you have new regimes, which technically you have back-to-back new regimes here in this game, you want to put that footing out there by getting wins. And now, granted, it still is a preseason game, but it does matter in sort of like building that confidence inside your room. Because if you go in and say, oh, this game doesn't matter, you get beat 26-7, it's not a great start. Even though, again, I preface this by it's preseason. You still want to get off on that right foot and look like you are running a competent franchise your first time around. We'll see if that happens. But I don't know, 6.5, like, what's the reason for that going up? Because Young is not going to play. I mean, you're basically the battle of the backups here in a game that's probably going to get around 30 points total. I probably just lean on taking the points. Is that a betting option or is that a handicap? No, not necessarily, but I don't know why that line would have jumped up so big, as if it's like, hey, by the way, Tom Brady was going to play a half and now he's not in New England. Come on now. Who are they actually playing at this point?
Yeah, it's a good point, I would say, DRS, in terms of the overall roster competition. Also, the backup in Carolina, I believe at last check, is Andy Dalton, who's got some experience there at the quarterback spot. We expect to see some of the starters for New England on the defensive side of the football, where they have invested in terms of deals and contract extensions this offseason. Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, under Gerard Mayo, who, of course, was a player under Bill Belichick in New England, was a defensive assistant the past few years for the Patriots under Belichick as well. Carolina last year, 17 games, all 17 as an underdog, 4-11-2 against the spread, just 2-15 straight up. The Pats only booked as a favorite 5 times last year in regular season action, 1-4 against the spread. The Panthers, by the way, with Bryce Young as a rookie, winless last year in the preseason, 0-3. Here is the outlook for 2 teams we expect to be near the bottom of the barrel this year in the National Football League. The Panthers, a higher win total, 5.5, and the over has the juice. The Pats, the lowest win total in all the National Football League, 4.5 is the number. Just 4 wins for New England last year in year number 24, the 24th and final under Bill Belichick. The last time prior to 2023 DRS with 4 wins or less. A 2-win football team way back in 1992.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you take a look at Bill Belichick. Like, if you're going to take over for a legend, chances are he probably leaves you with a pretty good deck here to sort of get after it. You take a look at Pittsburgh when Mike Tomlin took over for Bill Cowher. That was a really good franchise and a really good football team, sort of handing off that baton. But now you're taking a look at Gerard Mayo. Like, honestly, unless he's going to be around for 4 to 5 years to see it through the rebuild, when you know you get fired quickly if that team doesn't respond, he's in such a tough spot up there in New England.
Now it's hour number 2. Up next on the early line.